From the crossroads of the world in the heart of Times Square, welcome to Agent Brew Executive Sessions. I'm your host, Eric Zollinger of RLTYco. This is a podcast that percolates real estate insights. Executive Sessions is where we sit down and have a casual conversation with the industry leaders that have walked the path before you and are making the industry a better place. Today, I'm very excited to introduce to our viewers and listeners from Coldwell Banker, Warburg, on the Upper East Side in Brooklyn. We have Kevelyn Guzman joining us today. Kevelyn, it's great to see you.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So you have been the president and CEO.
Regional Vice President.
Regional Vice President of Coldwell Banker Warburg now. It's been two and a half
years.
Wow. And since you're becoming in that role, it has been so much fun to watch you just really crush it and be at the forefront of events, really putting yourself out there and making sure that people know who you are.
Yeah, so I've actually been in the business over 20 years. I started at Warburg about 19 years ago. Actually, my anniversary was last week, 19 years.
That's fantastic.
And I feel, I grew up in the business. I was 25. I started in Wall Street. I was with a smaller company, moved over to Warburg, and I never left. And I feel like, I grew up there. I got engaged, married, had my kids, got divorced. Literally everything personal in my life happened at Warburg. And so I've done every role. So boots on the ground, just really know how to work every part of the infrastructure, which has made me, in my role today, it's been perfect because it's like I can do everything. But it's been a great journey.
To have that legacy in one company, one is rare, very rare today, but it is quite special. I remember when I would ever be at a location for quite some time, like at the related companies, it felt very good to have that kind of legacy behind you. And I can only imagine, especially just with the brand itself and how long it's been around. I mean, I remember it was Fred Peters back in the day when you came.
Yeah.
And so
I worked with Fred for those 18 years. So, and that, so he sold 4.5 years ago. And that Coldwell Banker coming into New York City has been great for us because we have this global reach. We're a powerhouse. We have a powerhouse behind us, but we're still boutique.
Right. I do remember back in the day when I first started, I think there was a Coldwell Banker Hunt Kennedy.
Yes.
On the Upper East Side, one small office, maybe only 10 or 20 agents.
It's a franchise.
Got it. Okay.
We're company owned.
And you're company owned, and that's the big difference.
Big difference.
And you're part of what was the Anywhere brand.
CIH now.
So now CIH. So in your mind or in your practice and day to day, has anything changed for you?
So for us, nothing's changed. And we're really excited for the technology, the marketing, just so much that comes with this acquisition. I've always been a big fan. So for me, nothing really has changed in terms of perception. But our day-to-day, our agents, nothing has changed for us. We have different people, in different departments now, but as a whole, nothing's changed.
Well, I think that's the kind of security and the kind of stability that Anywhere brings to Compass, right? Because whereas they would just gobble somebody up before and not leave anything in its path, now they have learned that, like Anywhere, you can have many flags living under one roof.
Yeah, and the idea that, every brand offers something different.
Right.
And so the idea that everything will remain as is perfect because Coldwell Banker offers the global reach.
Well, I was just about to say, so you've teed this up perfectly.
Countries.
I love how you did your homework, which is always a positive. So why don't we start with your elevator pitch of Coldwell Banker and how that fits into your story since you've been there for so long?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing for us, and it's what most companies are looking for, that global reach. Our agents are able to transact in all parts of the world. We had the 3 #1 referrals to Dubai. And
Really?
yeah, from my office. And so that's not something that we had before.
Mhm.
You know, if we had an investor here that was looking to purchase in Dubai, we would have to figure that out. Now we have a contact in Dubai. We have a contact in Greece. We have a contact all parts of the world. And so that it's been meaningful for us, especially like even in Spain. We do a lot of business with Spain as well. You know, Warburg used to be an Upper East Side boutique, almost like a club.
I think I do remember it being very much a club
Mhm.
of the ladies who lunch and that had controlled the co-op boards,
Yep.
or not controlled the boards, but certainly everybody walking through the door and doing deals there. I always had such a great respect because so many of the agents were so kind to me when I was in my 20s and showing, and
And that remains true today. As you know, 50% of our agents are the legacy agents.
I didn't realize it was still that
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
Well, that's the great thing about real estate is that you can be 98 years old and you can still do deals, and it doesn't matter if you can't walk to the actual location, you can always refer it out or collaborate.
And they've been in the business so long that the business just comes to them organically.
Right.
They don't have to send out postcards. They don't need a social media presence. They just do business in their sleep. And really, truly, that's what ends up happening.
So what would you say is the biggest challenge facing Warburg today?
So the noise. There's so much noise
That's
in
a
the
great way
industry.
to package it.
Yeah, so every day it's something new, right? Every day it's a new opinion, it's a new something, and there's a noise that somehow, trying to keep the agents out of that noise is the biggest challenge, right? Because, such and such left to this company. Now there's a mass exodus,
Well, there's always that, and it's almost like turning the hourglass over, right?
Right.
Because there's always some constant movement. It doesn't mean that anything is wrong. It's just those people needed to leave at that time.
Right.
So,
But the noise is a big factor right now. Last year, I felt like the industry was under attack. We had all these lawsuits, the changes in all of our agreements, whether it was in the rental space, in the luxuries, you name it. And every 3 months, it was like, a new
on top of the
exclusive
Fair
agreement.
Act, and
Right. And so there's just a lot of noise. And that still continues now. Everybody constantly asks our agents, so, are they merging your office? Are they, the noise is constant, and trying to get the agents to just stay above that and not focus on the noise, I think it's the biggest challenge right now.
well, and having yourself be a company-owned office, I think certainly is a very good thing, because many of the smaller franchises that are mom and pop shops can easily be swayed or easily be bought out. So
Absolutely.
I think it's definitely a very strong position. Having worked at Corcoran and known many people at Sotheby's, it's like the Anywhere brands were quite strong and solidified in who they were as an identity.
And I do think that that's still true today. It's a little different. I'm all for all the things that CIH is rolling out. I think it's going to. So take Coldwell Banker for example. It's more. It's always been a company not in a vertical market. They're in Boston, for example, which is a vertical market, but.
Now I understand. Yes.
So for us here in the city, most of their platforms don't really work for us.
Right.
Right? So having Compass now come in with their platform, with their CRM, with everything, the technology they offer, Coldwell Banker is excited about that.
So it makes you stronger as a brand now than before.
Absolutely. And so, for us, global reach, the technology, the white glove service, we have a great PR team in-house that's for everyone, not just for the top 1%. which matters to a lot of people. The suite of services and resources that we offer, because we are a boutique, that one-on-one with our agents really makes a difference. And in a world where technology has taken over, that interaction, that having the staff in the office really just helps the agent just feel comfortable. And also like, look, the technology is great. But
So what is your favorite piece of technology today?
I'm going to say it's definitely AI.
Okay,
Both
in what
professionally
respect?
and personally. Can I just tell you how I'm going to DC next week, and I asked it to put together an itinerary for me and the kids, all the things to do, the best restaurants to take the kids, and it gave me an itinerary by the time, best restaurants for kids, the cherry blossoms, the museums to go to. So on a personal level, I love it.
You're the third person this week that I've talked to that has used their AI for this exact reason.
Really?
And so I'm like, oh, I never really thought of it, not having kids. But I'm like, oh, I could really come up with something great when I'm seeing my parents or friends are coming into town. I never had really thought of it in that way before.
And I literally I printed whatever is said. I picked whatever hotel is said to pick because it said you'll be right in the middle of all of these places and it's walking distance. It's just genius. But on the business side, even things like writing a listing description and having it just give you a draft. I'm not suggesting that you're going to copy and paste it.
Right. For those that do it in that format, I think they won't last very long anyway.
Right.
But those that use like the I believe it's the 15-75-5 method, where you feed it back and forth so that you're getting your own voice and all the information that you want and don't want.
Yeah, it's never going to replace us. I'll give you an example. I'm an Inman contributor.
Okay.
And I write twice a month for them. And every column I write they run it by their AI detectors. And so you have to write it from scratch. There is no, let me see what AI thinks or anything like that. They know. And so, which is the way to do it, right? It will never replace us. However,
it can replace parts of our business, but not certainly, it's a very emotional transaction. And so I think for one of those main reasons, it's important to have somebody that's
absolutely
human on the other side.
Yeah, how does AI going to give somebody that's maybe going through a divorce advice? You know what I mean? Like you need that human element. You need someone to say, look, it's going to be okay. This is what normally happens. And just a little bit of sympathy in the process.
Well, you as a human have brought so much to Coldwell Banker, Warburg, since you've arrived 2.5 years ago. So let's start talking about more of your origin story. I think I remember you just said you had another career, I think on Wall Street or finance?
Yes, I worked at a hedge fund for a couple of years. And
you grew up in New York City?
Born and raised. And I started there, and my days were long. I've always been a social person. And when I was working in Wall Street, it was just more of just the numbers and long days. And I had met someone that was at the time opening up a real estate company. And he was like, look, let's do the commercial and residential. I joined. And after that, I loved everything about real estate. And I've been on both sides. I've sold, I've owned personally. This past year, I became the broker of record for the company with the idea that we would expand, not with a brick and mortar, but more so be able to do deals in other parts. Long Island, we actually closed the second largest deal last week in 2026 in the Hamptons. At $60 million.
Congratulations, that's fantastic.
Thank you. The Asid advisory team closed that deal.
Oh, I'm very good friends with them.
Nick and Ashley and Natalie Remote, yes. So they closed just last week, $60 million.
Good for them. I'll have to reach out. That's they just joined within the last year because I remember they were coming over maybe a week or two after I gave the presentation. So.
So and then that was just part of everything that we were when I first stepped into the role, again, I've been doing this a really long time. So what agents need is something that comes organic to me, the support. And so I met Nick and Ashley, and they were like, you know what, this feels like home. And to see what they're doing today, I mean, 60 million, that's a huge, huge deal.
Well, they built a very strong foundation. And so I'm always happy to see when our fellow colleagues are crushing it and succeeding. For your career, what would you say is your one of your favorite wins, and why is it important to you?
So one of my favorite wins, I would say, when I stepped into this role, a lot of people think that I was maybe handed, a Bentley. And that really wasn't the case. I was tasked with enhancing the culture, growth, all of it, all at once. And so I was doing everything you could possibly think of, like reinventing us, enhancing the culture through events, through, putting the brand out there.
Many events, and I mean, it's been very impressive to see. So, I guess I always thought that, and this was just on me, that you came from a legacy, that you had family that was in the industry, and that's how you came aboard. So you really pulled yourself up from the very bottom, which I love that, because I started as an assistant before teams were ever even in existence. And, when we still had the wonderful DOS program with Roll Plus. And
that I don't remember.
Lucky you, with the black cursor just blinking on the screen. But being able to be at a company that long, you've already talked about one of your wins. Do you have any other as an agent that you're most proud of?
So not as an agent, but I think that for me, the biggest things that I am proud of are the wins. I mean, nobody is proud of a loss, right? Everybody likes to be...
Unless it's transformational. I know your the itinerary and the schedule that's coming.
Right. So, a loss can be an opportunity as well, an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to, kind of reinvent yourself. But the wins that I am most proud of is seeing our agents succeed. That is when even with Ashley and Nick, when they closed at 60 million, that, and we just signed a 50 million. Those are the wins that excite me the most.
That's great. So any transformational losses that you're willing to speak about, or that, really stand out in your mind and career?
So last year taught me a lot of things. It taught me, really the power that we have in walking away from things, like even losing people as an example, and knowing that, I mean, it's a relationships business. So some of the biggest disappointments you'll have in your life might come from an individual, right? And so for me, being able to put that aside and move on from things, for me, has been the most transformational experience, right? Just the power to just walk away.
Right.
So that's for me been, I've had some losses last year, both, not personally, but more professionally.
Well, I always remember when I was at Corcoran early on with Barbara, she brought this person in that wrote a book that said, it's not business, it's personal.
Yeah.
And so it's hard not to, especially when you're in a leadership role and some people tend to leave. I mean, listen, it's going to happen. It's inevitable at some point, sometime. You just have to be secure enough in who you are and who the company is, and that you've done the best that you can. And if not, well, then it's an opportunity to pivot.
And sometimes you want those people to leave.
I was just about to say, it's not always a bad thing.
It's not always a bad thing. Trust me.
All right. So because you work a lot as the head of the company, is there any outside exercises or habits that you have that keep you sane, as we like to say?
I'm a mom first.
Okay.
So I do a lot of activities with my kids. On the weekends, my part-time job is a driver. I drive them to soccer. In the summer months, we garden together. Gardening is by far my favorite thing to do. And so, but being a mom first is for me how I relax. Like seeing them happy and doing
Mhm.
things with them and spending time with them. I do work a lot. So when I have, time to spend with them it's precious.
What are their ages?
12 and 10.
My goddaughter is 12, so 12 going on 18. So it's such a magical time because now they're adults, or it feels like they are.
So I have to really sometimes, I watch her. And I'm like, wow, she's so big and she's just coming into like her own, skin. She's got her personality and it's so wonderful to see. And then I was also looking at high schools not too long ago. So just the idea that I'm looking at, high schools, like, wow, where time really does fly.
So let's play the gratitude game.
Okay.
And the gratitude game is rose, thorn, bud. But because we are on the Agent Brew, we like to do it with a little coffee twist. So it's the aroma. So I happen to be a very big fan of coffee. I grind my beans every morning. So I love to smell that aroma. It's, Folgers wrote a little commercial about it. So what gets you out of bed? Is it the coffee? Is it a practice that you do every day as a ritual?
So it is the coffee, but it's also my kids and my dog Biscuit. But what excites me the most is, every day is in real estate is different, right?
Every single day is different.
Like every transaction, right? Every transaction there's not one transaction that's ever the same. And so you wake up every day and it's, either you're putting out a fire or, you're kind of, it's a regular transaction.
Or you're just planning on figuring out when that fire could start.
That too. That too, right? Because in this industry, you kind of like have to be a little bit of a psychic as well. And you have
there is no
anticipate
easy deal ever.
Ever. And so I am laser focused on every single deal we have at the company, right?
So you're overseeing or helping to oversee.
I'm doing growth. I am pitching. I am doing everything. And again, I think one of the wonderful things of how I started, just basically touching everything, it's why I'm like this today. So if a listing sits for too long, I'm already strategizing on how we're going to move it.
That's fantastic to have somebody of your bandwidth that's willing to help and be there. Do you go on listing presentations? Or?
I do. And there's no, it could be over 5 million, over 10 million, you name it. And if I can't go, then I strategize with them. Right. We also have our sales director who also attends any pitching meetings. But at the end of the day, I'd like to know what's going on. And so that keeps me, when I wake up in the mornings, I'm like, okay, we've got that deal that we have to. And when it's not a deal, my favorite thing is when we onboard a new agent.
How often do you have onboarding? So
my first year in this role, I recruited 38 agents. Kathy K was
well
one
done,
of them.
Yes.
Yeah. And last year we onboarded 3 teams, first time ever for Warburg.
Oh, wow! I guess I hadn't realized that.
Yeah, most of the teams we have just
organically formed,
right? But for us, last year now we have 6-7 teams, and so we've showed a lot of growth in the last 2.5 years. And this year we're on track as well. So onboarding new agents, it's one of my favorite things to do.
And what would you say is the biggest catalyst for people to come to Coldwell Banker today?
So first and foremost, people like who they're working with and for. And we have a strong culture and leadership team. And
you have one of the longest and most storied people in your senior management team with Steve Goldschmidt.
Yes.
So it was good to see him there last year.
Yeah. And so, and we have added to the team. And so the combination, most people walk in and they are just feeling you out. Do I like this guy? Can I work for him? Can I work with him? And then the second thing is, okay, they offer all the resources that my clients could potentially need. And then, everything else comes into play, the financial part of it. But I think the number one thing people focus on is, do I want to work here? Like, do I like these
Right.
guys? How's the culture? Can I grow my business here?
Do they feel the support?
And do they feel the support? Of course. And so for us, that is something that really comes across when you first meet us.
So the next part of the gratitude game is the brew. It's basically, it's that first cup, it sustains you, it gets you going, revved up. One might even say it's, what is your why?
So my why is impact. I like to make an impact, right? And in all areas, right? I love networking. I think that your life can literally change when you walk into the right room and meet the right people. And so impact for me is the thing that comes to mind.
Nobody has said that before. So I love this new original articulation.
I've met a ton of people through networking events that I've either collaborated with, I've done, even monetary partnerships, like connections in other places. And so I truly believe in the power of networking. And so some of the impact that I feel that we do is through our networking and our events.
Jared Guy Randolph, who has been on the Agent Brew, and we were agents together back in the day at Sunshine doing new developments. He's created a whole new operation system called Buying Favor. And it's all about your contacts and who you've already networked with, how they can bring favor to your life and you to theirs. So it's this concept that with networking, I haven't done it for years. I mean, I've gone to events, but 2 weeks ago, I went to an agent dinner or a dinner with other chief customer officers of companies around the country. They happened to be in the city for a conference. So this AI company formed a dinner with 11 people, and I just thought, why not go? And it was fascinating, and it's gotten me to think, networking is one of those things that you're never too old to do.
Never. And in this business, you shouldn't stop doing that, right? Because again, you just never know who you're going to meet.
You never know. So moving it right along, we're now to the thorn of the gratitude game, which in our coffee theme is the grinds. I don't know about you or the grounds. I normally end up dropping them or, they just make a big mess. So is there anything currently that's causing you frustration or is an obstacle that you're trying to have some frustration in working through?
So I want to say, the acquisition has been big, right? So working through integration, it's only, that obstacle is only for me, nobody else feels it because my job is to shield everybody else.
Right.
And so, knowing what we're getting and integrating it and then rolling it out to the agents, I would say that that's top of mind right now. It's a lot, it's a new system. It's when you're an agent focusing on your business and then you now got to learn a platform, though, we've done this many times, 19 years at, Warburg doing this. We went from OLR to Real Plus. Real Plus to OLR.
OLR, yes.
And, we've upgraded Microsoft a million times, right? Every time Microsoft does an update and it moves your mailbox around. And so we're used to the change.
Right.
But that's top of mind for me right now.
Do you think there might be in the future? It seems like they've kept many of the positions with Anywhere, trying to do that. Compass International Holdings, CIH, very much aligned and in line with how Anywhere was doing it.
Yeah, and so from what I hear, it's going to remain the same.
Got it.
Right, so most of those key positions that we had, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, it was like Sue Yannicon is now the COO.
Right.
So, but for the most part, in one way or another, it's just a title change. But, those key people that really understand the culture and that were there from day one, they're still at the company.
Right.
Which is helpful.
And I haven't seen any departures from any of the major firms leave either.
And for us either. As a matter of fact, all the opposite. Everyone is super excited for just a lot of different things. Again, for us, having a company that is from New York City really is key. And our agents are thrilled to be on board and just play with all the new toys and see what's next.
Well, it also has to be from a senior management position and head of the company. Now that a lot of that debt is written away, having owned my own firm for a brief amount of time, I know what debt is all about. And I had to go to a little bit of a quick story. I had to go to Chase to get a line of credit because that's what you do when you are the head of your business.
Right.
And at that time, there was no commission funding opportunities. I mean, you could go to like e-commissions and it costs a lot of money. It was also shameful. You had to get your manager's approval. And that's where during the pandemic, Realty Capital was created so that agents didn't have to feel that shame. And I used the service right before I came to work, and I was amazed. Everything just flipped because I thought, oh wait, this is just capital. This is cash flow. Every business needs this. So there's nothing wrong with being able to sell a portion of your commission, because it's no different than doing an equity line of credit. This is much easier because you're using what we have the most of.
You're absolutely right. I wrote a column for Inman where I talked about the agent being a CEO. They're the CEO of their business, right? And so they have to manage their cash flow and make sure that their business is thriving. And so, because most agents think, I'm part of Coldwell Banker, Warburg, they somehow, I work for them and they don't have to manage their own P&L. And so it's important that all agents see their business and see themselves as the CEO, the CFO.
100%. And one of the reasons I came to RealtyCo is because we had the opportunity to influence and educate and elevate the entire industry. So that's one of the things I like to do in my position, is that going to your office and other offices. I remember when I was a young agent, I had no idea or the mindset to think of myself as an entrepreneur. But once I went into new development, I certainly did, because you become more sophisticated. So what do you think how do we elevate our industry and bring the resources and tools and to change the mindset?
So, I feel like when AI came out, let's just use ChatGPT. Everyone was fighting it. Everybody was sort of like, there's this thing, we don't want to use it, and how dare you, get the property description from there, and people were fighting it. And I think that the key thing to do is to adapt and to explore. There's absolutely nothing wrong with exploring and just adapting, and not immediately having this mindset that everything is bad. You take private exclusives right now. It's a big topic of conversation, and what it's going to do to the industry, and how people think that it's a bad thing, but yet it really truly is a marketing program.
So where do you see this going, if I might ask? If you don't want to answer, you don't have to, but I know you're now part of a bigger, even bigger behemoth. And so with private listings, currently, and correct me if I'm wrong, Compass believes that there should be a separate, you should be able to market your listing however you want to. And if you don't want it on the public portals, you should have the right to not list it there, which even if you're putting it in your own little portal, it means it's not private, it's still public to the general audience.
So it is about giving the seller more options. I'll give you an example. We're currently in talks with a seller that wants to sell their property off market for a million reasons, right?
I mean, there's many, many reasons why one would want to.
Right. And all valid. It is not because, when to test the market or anything like that. They're really legitimate reasons. And being able to do that allows us to service that seller.
But hasn't that always been an opportunity in our market? You didn't have to necessarily put it on the market if you didn't want to, if it was that kind of a situation.
But what's powerful now is that there is a network of
a private listing network.
So a portal that you will upload that listing, and others in that network will see it, as opposed to before, where
It was
You
a
used to
one-off
have to-
situation, right?
Right. And you would have to call, someone, agents, and say, hey, I have this, off-market exclusive. Now we have, it's almost like networking, but for...
It is, but is there a loss of fair housing?
In what way?
Because not everyone in the market is now seeing it. You're shielding it from, I'm not saying it's fair housing, but it reminds me of all my real estate classes that I took that, well, wait, you're not opening up. I am a tried and true student of Barbara Corcoran. So when she fought for that 72-hour co-broking, could you believe 72 hours? Now it's instant.
Sure.
But you will know what the price is for good or for bad if everybody has the opportunity.
Well, it's no different than what you said. So initially you said, okay, well, if you have this private exclusive, right, you could just call agents and let them know you have it. What is so special in what you guys are doing now? And I responded with, okay, well, there's a portal that now they all live there and others can see it without you having to make those phone calls. It's no different, right? And what fair housing violation are we referring to, right?
Well, it's just not having access or the information, because if it's not out on the open market.
But who doesn't have access? Because, many agents within the network have it. So Sotheby's has it, Corcoran will have it, we will have it.
Well, now you're talking about certain. now you're slicing up the market here, and there's a true delineation.
So we many agents will have access
that's been
to
maybe
it.
That's been part of the whole conversation, and we didn't see the Department of Justice stand up. They didn't see an issue with it. That I don't know if it reaches 50% or is it just over 50% of the total agents in America.
Yeah.
That would then be part of
Right.
of a massive anywhere or a thing portal.
And I think the biggest thing here is that we need to remove, the whole idea that this is wrong, because it, just like Zillow and most of these other firms are following suit, right? There's a reason for it. It is not, when we are pitching, no one ever says, well, would you like to, place your listing, your apartment in our off-market portal? That is not what happens, right? We offer them what, any seller would want. We listen to what they need. And then based on that, we offer what we could do for them. But it's not, nobody's walking, I promise you, nobody's walking to a pitch saying, offering, to put it in our private listing portal. And so, yes, there is a strong network of all of these brands that will have access to these private listings.
My only concern is that I feel like the buyers lose out. That it's the consumer ultimately that, once again, is paying the price because they don't have all the information. The days on market won't be there. The price reductions won't be there. And so, that's, when you're representing buyers, that's a very strong and important piece of the history of that property.
Yeah. However, if you're working with an agent, that's where they come in and help those buyers figure all of that out. And if you're within the network, you will have access to more information than most.
Understood. I see where this is going. Okay. So this is a perfect segue and lineup because it matches with the last part of the gratitude game. And that is the fresh beans or the buds. Is there something you're looking forward to right now or you're about to launch that really is part of the spring, new beginnings, and you're looking forward to?
So I think I had mentioned that I had become the broker of record for the firm.
Yes.
With the idea that we would expand in other areas. Like I was saying.
But you already did Brooklyn, correct?
We already did Brooklyn. We've got a bunch of listings in Long Island. We have a few listings in Westchester. We are expanding. And, for us, that's a big deal. We're going from just being in the Upper East Side now to, deep parts of Queens, that we had never ventured to
Right.
before. And, something like Long Island, the Hamptons also. So that is really exciting. We have a lot of properties coming on that is just beyond the Upper East Side.
Fantastic. I mean, the Coldwell brand is quite strong everywhere outside of, I would say, New York City or like the major NYC market, because I'm from Indiana originally, went to school in Illinois. And I remember it was only Coldwell Banker signs you usually see everywhere.
Okay, in Boston, they're number one in Boston. They're number one in Westport, Newport Beach. They're really strong. Miami, the number one team, right? The Jills.
The Jills.
So they're really strong in a lot of other parts of the country. And look, Coldwell Banker Warburg, we've been in the top 10 brokerages in New York City now for 7 years in a row.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's not very easy to do.
It's not very easy to do. It's not very easy to do.
In the top 10, got it. What is your agent count now?
We are at about 125 to 126.
That's a lot of transactions per agent to make it in the top 10.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
We wish you continued success. Now we have one last remaining part of Agent Brew, and that's if you could give your young agent self or young entrepreneurial self a piece of advice, not someone young today, what would it be, Kevelyn?
So, I would give myself a ton of advice, but the one that really comes to mind is, when you feel like you're walking into the wrong room, or you feel like you're not welcomed in any way, it's figuring out to walk out of that space as fast as you possibly can. Don't put your value on other people. So what I mean by that is sometimes we set our value based on what other people think of us.
Right.
And the minute you start to feel that room has set, the standard for you, walk out. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Don't think about it. Just, move on to the next thing. Protecting that in yourself is so valuable.
And I don't think it's rarely talked about. And so thank you for bringing another original idea to Agent Brew. We certainly appreciate that. And that will probably be, mark my words, a reel that we use for one of our shorts.
Yeah.
So
great.
Well, Kevelyn, thank you so much for joining us at Agent Brew Executive Sessions.
Thank you for having me.
We hope to have you in future seasons, and we wish you certainly a tremendous amount of success and good fortune in this new alignment with Compass International Holdings.
Thank you. Thank you. And much success to you. You're doing phenomenal. So congratulations. And I hope to see you in our office again.
Yes, I look forward to being there. Thank you to our viewers and listeners for tuning in yet again for another episode of Agent Brew Executive Sessions. I'm your host, Eric Zollinger, reminding you it's a great day for real estate.